Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the show. This is Franz, Sidney, and so we're very happy to have you here to create the life that you want. And today, it's all about business owners with a special guest all the way from Ireland. So welcome to Aileen Gallagher. Hello.
Hi, Franz. How are you doing?
We're
Very happy.
doing we're doing great. We're doing great. We're so excited. We did try
Absolutely.
recording a week ago, but everything went wrong technically. So we're finally onto this job to help you business owners with which problem exactly? Well, a problem that you may have if you have 40 people working for you or if you're just self-employed. And that is when you reach the ceiling and you feel like you're not really getting where you want, or maybe something is quite stuck, you're not quite happy, or you can't expand, you're not selling more. There is something there blocking you. Sometimes it's a matter of business strategy. Sometimes it's a matter of mindfulness and knowing what's going on inside your mind. And what can we have? There isn't a better guest than Aileen Gallagher, because not only she is using RTT, hypnosis, coaching, and all the things that you want for a business strategy, but she's also grown up into a family business. So she has years and years working in with a mind and with a business size, almost 20 years exactly. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I've been a business and energetics coach about 18 years. Just,
Wow.
just gone 18 from last month.
So
So
that's amazing amount of experience and client cases and tips for you guys. So if you want to get over, whether you have a little Etsy shop with 20 sales and you want to move, or maybe you have a big manufacturing company, 30, 40 people, well, big, medium, and there is something there that is not quite right. That's the way we can tackle these problems, by addressing what's going on inside and what's going on outside. So let's see, where do we start, Elaine? There's so much stuff in here, isn't it?
where do you start? Well, I suppose from, when I started first, I was very much about the do in the business, if you know what I mean, very much about the strategy and what we need to do to get the different results. And even though the mindset and energetic work, it was part of it. It wasn't really as much as it is now, because I noticed that, like, you might have two business owners at similar levels and might give them the exact same strategy, and one person would be able to move through it quite easily, and then the other person, as I said, would go around the world to like avoid following through. And really it was, internally what was stopping them actually, going forward and implementing a lot of the stuff. So I suppose what I found from that is, like, we all have our upper limit that we reach in what we're trying to achieve. And this is particularly, it's in everything, but I suppose obviously I specialize in helping people move forward with their business. And like you said, whether it's that the solopreneur, the coach, the therapist, the online service provider, or that person who's leading a business with a team of 40 or 50 people or more, we all reach this upper limit where we kind of we can't seem to get past that, whether it's a financial goal or whether it's the type of business model that we're trying to implement. And often what it looks like is, with the people that I start to work with, is, yeah, they want to make improvements, and we have a talk and maybe do their audit on their business, and they become clients. But then as we move through the strategy and we create the strategy of the things that they need to do, they start to make excuses or come up with reasons why it's not a good idea to proceed or to make the changes or to make what they perceive sometimes as radical changes in the business. Or, sometimes for people who've been in business a long time, it's like that we've always done it like this. So, just because people have always done it like that doesn't mean that we stay doing it like that. And business is very emotional thing, because it's the greatest learning and personal development that anybody will ever go through, even though they may not have asked for it. But it's huge. So it's just like that. everybody reaches that limit, and then what do we need to do to help to understand it? Because often we think that it's external reasons, that we've decided that it's not a good idea to expand or to grow or to become more visible online or any of those things. And it's really that internally we have either a lot of fear or emotions that are stuck there that are just not allowing us to move forward.
Isn't that interesting? We think we got it all, we done the business courses, we've been doing this for years. And then we overlook the fact that our mind will play a very big part in this because we are people who have emotions, we're not AI, we have emotions. And so this fear is a raw emotion, the fear of failure, fear of losing what we already have, fear of change. And as we all know, and I repeat myself by, hey, not everyone has listened to all my episodes, we are wired to keep the familiar with us. So when something is new, different, and unfamiliar, even if it looks beautiful, it's scary because our primitive mind inside, and I call it like that with a liberal interpretation here, it's a mind that wants to protect us from pain, from failure, from death. The mind is not there to make us have fun or to have success. It's to protect us so we are alive in this planet. And if something is new, even sometimes changing the tile in the house, some people just get like, oh my gosh, I can never. It's so difficult. And so in a business, you might say, well, this has always been done like that. How dare you telling me? But that is sometimes the thing. So it's about the mindset and overcoming this fear. And how can you do that? As you cannot guarantee, oh yeah, if you do this, your business will explode. How do you remove these fears?
Well, and when you touch on it, the fear isn't always even of failure. Oftentimes, the fear is fear of success. It's that how will they handle that success when it starts to become real, that if we actually do these things, this is the result that's going to come from it, Franz. So yeah, it's often that. It's just like, okay, well, if I get that, how will I actually cope if I have that amount of financial results, or if I have somebody else doing the work, I can actually have a team doing that work for me, or what will I do if I can actually make the amount of money that I want to make in far less time than I'm currently doing it. And like you said, yeah, it's because of that. It's unfamiliar for us to that kind of feeling. And as we know, that the whole self-protection, our human biology and our system is to keep us in the familiar, even if that unfamiliar is quite painful. So to answer your question about like how do I work with clients? First of all, it's to help them to see what exactly is stopping them. I use this coaching model, and I'm sure you've heard about it. This is probably going to look maybe backwards when you look at the camera, but it's be by do is equal to have. So the model I use when I work with my clients is, okay, what is it that we want to have? And in order to have that result, what is it that we need to do? But the most important part of this coaching framework is, who do we need to become in order to be able to follow through and do those things, follow the strategy to have the results that we want. And when we start that off, okay, starting with the end in mind as such at first, okay, when somebody wants to make improvements or wants to have a better result from their business, what specifically do they want to have? And ensuring that they're actually connected to that goal, that it's their goal, not somebody else's goal or a goal that society feels that that's what they should what they should have. Because sometimes that's a reason why we aren't able to follow through to carry out the strategy part, because we're not really connected to that goal. So that's the first thing I will work with clients on is, okay, what is it that you really want to have? And then when we really kind of work that out and get that connection to that goal, we come back then and go, right, okay, so what do we need to do in order to achieve that goal? So for every business, there's the same fundamentals. We need to attract new clients. We need to convert some of those into clients. And then we actually need to deliver our products or our services or whatever that may be. So we can very easily work out when we know what we want to have, that whole the deeper strategies, but then attracting people into our world, then converting some of them into clients, and then delivering those. We can that's the strategy. It might be more visibility, it might be messaging, it might be speaking, then the messaging on our content. It might be lots of different things, but we can really work out what the practical parts is. And then it is, as I said, to become the person that's capable of actually doing that. And I suppose it's critical, and why I found that we need to combine these two things together, because it's becoming the person as we do those tasks, because it's coming at them with the right energy as well as the right attitude. But having that, what are the things that are going to stop us doing what we want to do? So it is typically fears or deep set emotions that we're not even aware of, that are buried in the subconscious. And it's not that it's sometimes it's not that there's like deep trauma or big trauma behind a lot of it. A lot of it is kind of very simple things, but it's bringing what's that awareness from the subconscious that we may not be aware of, and becoming aware of it. Well, that's the actual thing that is stopping us going forward, and either being visible or doing the thing that will bring the result. And that's becoming that person, becoming that next level person that's able to do it. So that's where the key part is. And especially say, like, when we work with clients on a one-to-one basis, we cannot see our own blind spots. So we cannot see, like, so when we come up with reasons for when they might say, okay, well, that's not a good idea. If we did that, we might be able to manage that growth, or where is the fear coming from? And it's to dig a bit deeper into that. And it's amazing, as I said, like what comes out of that when even on a conscious level with the coaching, asking those questions. With clients over the years, I've had so many different things that were stopping people moving forward. Like, say, for example, there was one client, and they just couldn't get over that there was a certain income, and that they seemed to continually, might go up and down, but it would always balance around this. And this was happening maybe for 3-4 years running before they started working with me. And one of the things that it turned out that when we dug deeper into it, there was real block around earning past the 20K per month mark. And that was because that when they were younger, they actually came from like a business background, business family background, and they had a lot more money than maybe their friends and peers. And they were actually taken advantage of when they were younger. So that actually really stopped them going beyond being in overflow with the business that they were running, because they didn't want to be taken advantage of again. They felt that, okay, if I go beyond that will be a point where I'm going to get taken advantage of. So let's just keep it small where it can handle it, and I'm not be noticeable to anybody else. I had a similar situation with another client whose brother had died tragically. Very successful business as well. This was a bigger business. They had a team, and they had different companies in both in Ireland and in the UK. And again, they were trying to do things to step back from the business and make things easier for himself and his wife. They were in the business together. And in that case, what came up was that he had like guilt about being the one who survived, and the brother had died, even though it was nothing to do with him. It was nothing to do, he wasn't like there even present at the time that the accident happened. But like that, there's a limit on what he could do. And even though he wanted on a conscious level to have all of this different results, the typical results in the business. And really for him, he was trying to just scale back so he could spend more time with his own family. But it was that guilt of not of him being able to have that when his brother was never going to be able to have that. And none of this ever makes logic as to why we're not able to follow through on the strategy part of the business. But these kind of things come up and stop us, doing the things we need to do. And this is why this becoming the person that's able to do what we need to do to have the results is so crucial, because it needs to happen together. Strategy and the mindset and the energetics need to happen simultaneously in order to really, to get, and that's, I think, what was happening. And I noticed with the clients that I had, that if they could find all the reasons in the world why they couldn't implement or the works that they were doing wasn't working when somebody else was doing the exact same thing. And it is that really kind of balance between the two. And, typical hard workers or business people who are got to where they have through hustle and grind and hard work and creativity, find it hard to accept sometimes that the mindset has such a huge impact on the results that we get. Don't know if you ever heard that book, Marshall Goldsmith, which says, "What got you here won't get you there."
No, you tell
No,
us.
I'll tell you. So, what got you here? So that oftentimes, like we say, when we start our business, and we will do whatever we have to do to get that business to a point maybe where it's first replacing our income, and then going beyond that. But those very things that we do in order to get our business to maybe that first level of success, like the hard work, like the learning, like the creativity, like the reaching out, like the follow-ups, like all of those different things. That's what gets us to that first level. But sometimes then when we want to get to the next level, it's partly, to maybe build a team. It's partly that we realize that we cannot work. It's not sustainable to keep working at this level. So now we have to find ways of leveraging or taking it to a different place. And they're the very things that actually, the things that helped us to build our business in the first place are the things that actually stop us going any further, because we're nearly very resistant to allowing the mindset and the energetics to guide us in the actions that we're taking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, quite eye-opening. And you think, oh, actually, I don't have to repeat everything and just scale it, because starting a business is not the same as sustaining and growing the business. It's just a different type of work,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, quite overlooked, I would think.
Yes, because in business typically, and it's a bit different in coaching and therapy, but in mainstream business, mindset and energetics is kind of looked on as something that's nice to have, but it's not seen as critical. And definitely beyond until a certain point in the business, it's not maybe given the credence and the importance that it actually needs.
Yes. I think
Because
it's a good moment of reflection to really understand that sometimes we are so fearful of spending money for a coach, for a therapist, but sometimes that is the best investment we can do to sleep better and to have a better, clear mindset as we go to work and we proceed to do what is going to be useful for the business. Instead of just sticking to what is familiar, we've done it for 20 years like this, and it always worked. And there is a quote from, I can't remember who it was, but he said, "You cannot fix a problem with the same mindset that created the problem." So it is useful, isn't it, to have a coach, maybe a business partner, to bounce back into this bouncing board our thoughts and see our limitations through the eyes of another person who can say, well, can you see the issue there? And one issue, for example, is not having very clear goals and very clear strategies. And they change. So the first year, you will have a goal of getting your business known and sell something. But then once you get a little bit established, your goal have to change, because otherwise you'll be stagnant. And if you don't change, you end up with a schedule that doesn't work for you, or with no schedule, because you think, oh, this is now in automatic. But actually, talking to a coach, I was working with a RTT lawyer who does both. And I realized that was 4 or 5 years ago. And we both realized that if we actually want to do this, there is something to note, and this is to look at your current days and how you're spending your days. What are you actually doing every day? Then compare that with a list of the goals you have, and then put a little line to connect the two activities and see which one of my daily activities is directly taking me to the outcome. And you will see how much time you're wasting in doing things that are not taking you to the business goal, which is why when I'm working now, I work with a complete schedule of what's happening, who I'm working with, when is that going to happen, and what is missing to be done. And that is my way to go to achieve a very specific goal. And if I don't do that, I end up spending the whole day spreading multiple actions that do not have any effect on my final outcome that I care so much for. But unless I actually, like my fitness pal, when you're done, just how many meals are you having every day, and how many sugars and how many carbs. And once you see there in print, they tell you, this is 75% carbs and sugar. And you go, and that's why I cannot lose weight. And then you change it and you have these very focused strategy steps, so that instead of going 75% sugar, you go maybe 75%, I don't know, vegetables or meat or whatever you like. I'm not here to give you nutrition advice. There's a nutrition for that. Although I'm a nutritionist, but that's not my place. So I think the same is for a coach. They really have to see, well, where are the steps that you're taking? And we can go round and round, oh, but I've done this, but I really had to do that step, and that's wonderful. You have to do all this stuff, but then your goal cannot happen. So you have to maybe readjust the goal, which is why you work with a coach for a few weeks to see how you're getting on, because you have to implement these new habits, and then you become. So that's your part. You become as you do. You don't become because you read a book. You become as you do the stuff.
Absolutely. And I suppose just on that point, like, if you think about all the professional sports people in the world, they have coaches. The coaches aren't always more talented. If you take, for example, we say professional golfers, it's not like that their coaches are more talented than they are. But the thing is that no matter how good, how talented, how ambitious that you are, you cannot see yourself swing. As in that you need somebody else to see you in operation, you're in your mind and in your head, in your business. And that's where all the blind spots come from. You cannot see what you're doing. You cannot see where some of the actions that you're taking are not being taken with the energy or the mindset of the person that you're working towards and looking to become. So knowing that, okay, that there are things that all of us, we don't know what we don't know. And then having that coach working with you, both on the strategy as well as being able to help you to identify when you're kind of getting in your own way. That's the difference, because all of the strategy, if anyone can look up enough or read enough books to know, okay, well, if I follow this strategy, this is the way that I can grow my business. And I feel that any strategy can work, but if it's aligned to where you're going and how you're feeling about where you're going, and that's the critical part. It's being able to move, and then when you're having the awareness to know, okay, I'm not moving now, not moving. Why am I not moving? And that's when, I suppose, the other side, the deeper mindset and energetics comes into play to help you to move again.
Yes. So good. And I mean, I'm learning a lot through this chat because I'm also a business owner. So I want my business to grow. But sometimes I look back to the weeks and I'm like, when did I take the action that is necessary? And I didn't, because there is always something else. It's very important to have your goals really clear and your values, because everything we do is based on what we believe that is important. So where are
Yeah.
our priorities? And if we're spending more time with entertainment or with a secondary business or with a family, that's fine. But we have to be clear that this is why we're not getting where we are trying to get. And so not everyone will be a business person that has millions. That's not the purpose.
No.
You have to know what you want so you can
Yeah.
get there. Like in Alice in Wonderland, it doesn't matter where you go if you don't know where you're going in the end, right? Obviously. So the tips before we close, obviously you have woven quite a lot of tips in there, but a final tip so a person can turn off the podcast is all done and then go, I can really start doing something today. What can they start to do today to change the status quo?
The big thing, I think, for everybody is just starting to have that level of self-awareness about what we are thinking, because those thoughts are fueling into like what our beliefs are, which then determine, okay, what we will do and what we won't do. So an awful lot of, of moving forward is about unlearning things rather than learning more things. So it's having that awareness of, okay, what am I thinking and why am I thinking this? Is this something that's going to help me or not? And I think that the whole thing of beginning to question what we're thinking and what we're feeling is really kind of that opens up the gateway as such for making the changes. Never believe in what we're actually thinking.
This is so true because our thoughts are not always the truth of the reality. They're thoughts, they're connections that we make in our mind, and we make a lot of fake syllogism. For example, as you said in the past, when I make a lot of money, somebody will take advantage of me or I'm going to have pain. Therefore, making money is not safe for me. And we apply this to a lot of stuff, and we jump to a lot of conclusions that are not really based on evidence, but based on maybe one event, so anecdotal, but it doesn't represent how life usually goes. And a lot of times in our business, we might see that some beliefs that we have that are blocking us, they come from when we were younger or even children, and we built this. And just to close, I remember this when I was young, my dad said always, I have all the money I want. I can literally go from Italy to New York, get a coffee and come back. You won't make any problem for me. And I'm not happy. And, I think it was building up in our mind that if you have money, you're not going
Yes.
to be happy.
Yes.
And I believe like that can completely ruin your chances of making money because you believe you're not worthy, or it's going to be painful, or your spouse is going to be jealous. So really look at these beliefs with curiosity, not with self-judgment. Curiosity, and say, what can I learn from this?
Yeah. And that is a huge part of that whole thing of we have to keep working so hard for money. Like, oh yeah, hard success is all about working hard. That's another thing like that. So many business owners who get to one level just kind of they cannot accept that we can then work to make it easier.
Yes. Well, this is great advice. So, Aileen Gallagher, thank you so much for being in the show because it was, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Franz. Thank you very much.
Yes. I hope you guys can really take this advice and write down notes and start changing the business in a way that aligns with your own beliefs and desires and your business needs. And hopefully, if you feel the need of removing emotional blocks or something that you really feel is right here in your head, it's nothing to do with the business, then you can come to me or go to Aileen for this mind work to really realize who you are. And sometimes it's just as simple as having one single session and then a couple of follow-ups, and you're just gone. Other times you need proper business advice or executive business coaching, and that's when you can look for a coach. We are both coaches, but hey, we're not telling you where to go. Just tell us, what you want, and we can actually refer you as well. So this is not a sales pitch for us. It's really to help you so you can move forward and create the life you want. Anyway, all the links will be right there where I put them every time, and you can look in the description and see if you want to work with Aileen Gallagher. She's right there for you in Ireland. So remember, your time can be worked out worldwide because she knows how to work with everyone. And she uses Zoom, so you don't have to actually go to Ireland unless you want to. It's a wonderful country to visit. So thank you, and I hope you will want to maybe write a review for this podcast as it's been working for you tirelessly for 4 years. And maybe like and subscribe and share this with one of your business friends so they can create the life that they want and they deserve. Thank you all, and see you next week. Bye.